when I came to this country is like starting a new life altogether, because I was born again, coming out of hell to come into heaven, because that's how I consider America, heaven on earth, because we have a constitution which is the greatest piece of legislature written by man. In my estimation, the Ten Commandments, which was written by God, is almost on the same principle. So I consider myself very lucky to come to this great country of America. In 1939, September 1, I was playing soccer with my cousin, and we were kicking the ball in the park, when bombs start dropping down over my hometown, Radom. Not realizing that the war started, all of a sudden bombs were coming down, and people start running all over the place, screaming, didn't know what was happening. And a piece of bomb hit my cousin and tore out his whole stomach. He fell dead right next to me. I ran home and told my mother, and we cried together, but nothing will bring him back, and a lot of people died that day. And 3 days later, the German troops marched to our hometown of Radom, and hell broke loose, especially for the Jews, because they start rounding up Jews all over the place, killing, beating, with no mercy, And one of those days, they caught me, and they took us to a camp, Volanov. From there, I went to another camp, which was called Bližin, near the German border. There we were making uniforms for the German army. The shop was about 3,000 people making uniforms. As a matter of fact, I worked in a shop where making reversible jackets for the Russian front. Green on one side and white on the other for the snow. And I befriended a guy in Volanov. He was a little older than I. And then I'm Michael Berkowitz. And Michael, as a matter of fact, it's a long story, because in Volanov, his wife and a child of 1 year were shot while he was staying, and he wanted to run out and we were holding him back. But Mike in Bližin, he worked on a machine and I worked on the other. So we were facing each other. And he got sick with typhoid. They put you into a barrack and you lay there till you die. They didn't want to waste a bullet to kill you. So I remember when I was sick with typhoid, the tea helped me. The guy, the farmer, which boiled the hot water with sugar and lemon, helped me. And I had some sugar still. So I went to the stove. We had a big stove in the shop where I worked. And I boiled up hot water. I put the sugar, and I had 10 minutes time to go out to the washroom a day. My number at that time wasn't tattooed on my arm, but we carried the number on our uniform. And my number was 1365. And there was a couple, a Jewish couple at the door, which marked on when you go out, what time. And you had 10 minutes time to go to the washroom and back. So I ran across the camp to the barrack where the sick were laying. And I got in, I gave Mike the tea, picked up his hat, and he drank it. And I got back. By the time I got back, maybe it was 25 minutes, maybe a half hour. He said, "Where were you?" The couple. I says, "You know, Mike is sick. I took over some hot tea for him. Please, don't make an issue, because I'll finish my work on time, don't worry." And I went to the machine to work. There was an Oberscharführer, which is a major in the SS, which was in charge of that shop of all of the shops in that camp. And he used to walk around with a whip and a German Shepherd. And he used to go like from hour to hour, he visited the shops if everything is in order. And he walked into our shop. And the couple wanted to be a good Samaritan, gave him $13.65. I was late. I went out and I spent too much time outside. All of a sudden my numbers being called, $13.65. And I go up and the Oberscharführer asked me, "Where were you?" Before I even had a chance to say anything, he had a whip with a piece of lead at the end. Like he hit me and run it around, cut me right there. The dog, boom. I have scars till this day from the bites which I got from the dog. I got such a beating that the whole shop cried for me being beaten so bad. Then finally he let go. I thought I'll be shot for sure, but he didn't. And I went back. I couldn't sit on my behind. I remember sitting on one side and working to be able to finish my job. This was Blizhen. Stayed in Blizhen till 1943, when they liquidated the camp of Blizhen. Didn't stay that long in Auschwitz. They needed people in Dachau. And I was taken away to Dachau. They did 1945, April 26. Now we could hear the guns, the American guns. Oh, now to live another day, another few hours. Maybe God will give us freedom again. You know, the American ingenuity, they put those things over the water and they rolled the tanks right over and surrounded us. The Germans laid down their arms. In 1949, in Munich, Germany, the American consulate, I was there to pick up my visa with my wife. And all of a sudden, a man walks over to me, knees down on his knees, and begs me for forgiveness. I says, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm the guy which gave the number to the Oberscharführer, and you got beat up that time. Please forgive me." And I looked at him and I says, "The only man to forgive you is God himself. You better pray to God to forgive you for your sins." This was my answer to him, and I let it go. Because if I would have mentioned one word, he would have been arrested then. But I'm not a vengeful guy. I had so many good people in my life that I've seen God is number one, and then all of those good people which God created and helped me survive. So I cannot condemn anything. Yeah, okay.